I'm Christy. Today I want to talk to you about discovering the best place to live. Over the past few years, I've talked a lot about finding the best place for your loved one to live. Now, as I've begun serious research into options for AJ, I've shared many of my discoveries along the way. You can read a couple of the previous posts, and I've got links to them over on the blog. That's at www.havenofhopeforme.com. This originally posted in January of 2022. I've also got a link to the first post in the Best Living Arrangements series. For this post, though, I want to look at living situations from a different perspective. Instead of looking at options in your area, let's consider your loved one specifically. What type of situation would best fit them? So let's look at the options and consider what type of person would best fit each scenario. Living in the family home, whether it's immediate family or extended family, is probably the simplest option. It's most likely where your loved one is currently living. Continuing with the status quo is easy for everyone. Routine is already established, and everyone knows what to expect. This could be the best option if there are behavior issues, complicated medical requirements, or other concerns that could be overwhelming for others to have to deal with on a regular basis. The downside is that as parents age, they may no longer be able to care for their loved one. Plans must then be made, hopefully well in advance, for who will continue to care for the family member. Sometimes this means moving to a new location or making other dramatic changes to the current living situation as the plan is implemented. These kinds of changes may be hard for your loved one with special needs to adjust to. Now, group homes offer a different kind of family environment. In most instances, there are still only a handful of people living in a home. This lends itself well towards intimacy and really getting to know your housemates. Many times, the staff plans regular outings and activities, so there's a reasonable amount of social interaction with others outside the home, as well as opportunities to practice appropriate social skills and improve life skills while shopping and completing other day-to-day activities. There's also an increased level of independence that comes from living apart from your immediate family. Many times, this allows your loved one with special needs to develop new skills and abilities that allow them to function more independently and capably in the real world. The downside is that family members lose much, if not most, of the say over their loved one's life. Now, while you would hope this is not a real issue, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring it up as a possibility. On the other hand, because there is less say from family members, the individual with special needs must take responsibility must take more responsibility for themselves, which is never a bad thing. Now, living communities are kind of like group homes on steroids. Many communities offer different levels of supported living, from group homes to supported apartment living to independent apartment living. I'm sure that the specifics will vary from community to community, but you get the idea. These communities also offer social activities for residents, and with the larger community they're pulling from, oftentimes there's more variety in those activities. Living communities are designed to provide additional supports required by adults with special needs, and they understand that these adults will vary from individual to individual. Many of them also have a philosophy of encouraging their residents to continue to grow and develop new skills and abilities as they're able. Pushing them to reach their fullest potential is part of that philosophy. The downside is that space is limited. Waiting lists can be long, and from the little that I've learned, COVID hasn't done anything to help waiting periods. If you can get in, though, it can be an amazing opportunity for your loved one. And finally, shared living. This is a new concept to me. In a nutshell, it's where an individual with special needs lives with an individual or family and participates in all aspects of life with that family. Shared living could also be two individuals, a host and an individual with special needs, living together in a house or an apartment. The Trudeau Center defines shared living this way. Quote, shared living is a residential option for individuals with disabilities that provides them with the opportunity to live in private family homes with dedicated providers, end quote. You can find a link to that quote over on the blog. Since this is designed to be a long-term placement, a lot of effort is made to make sure that the matching process is thorough and that the individuals will get along well together. Many locations also put an emphasis on community involvement while living with a host family. I suppose in many ways, it's a good combination of living with a family while also having the independence of not living with your family. The downside could be that your loved one won't feel as independent because they're not living on their own. Although I counter this with the fact that they will be living apart from you, which is what living on their own is really all about. And many adults have roommates, so it's not really that different from other adults. So where does all of this leave us? How do you decide what option is best for your loved one? Here's a few things to consider. First of all, what options are available in your area? Second, are you willing to move to a new area to get your loved one into a living situation that you believe would be best for them? If not, are you willing to move your loved one to that area to get into such a living situation? Third, how social is your loved one? Do they require more social outlets in order to survive and thrive? Fourth, how much support does your loved one require? And what environments can provide that level of support? And finally, what kind of living environment does your loved one want to live in? And are you able to make that happen for them? Now, while this is not a comprehensive list, I hope that it provides a good starting point for you as you begin thinking what would be best for your loved one. Now, one last point of emphasis. Make sure to include your loved one in the decision process. And as much as possible, follow their lead. Sometimes it's hard to remember that they have desires and dreams as well. We honor them best when we follow their lead and help them fulfill their dreams for their lives. So my question for you this week is this. What kind of living environment do you think your loved one would best thrive in? What options are available in your area? I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can leave me a comment below, or you can leave me a comment over on the blog. Again, that's at www.havenofhopeforme.com. This is from January of 2022. If you prefer, you can also email me at Christy, CHRISTY, at havenofhopeforme.com. I'm considering all living options for AJ so that I can continue to say that life is good and there is never a dull moment.